owl is able to see at night and spot things in the dark and kill. So that's what all this is about. It's lots of symbolism. So last year, we had some very intriguing crop formations that were showing up that were telling us something's coming soon. This particular formation has a planetary alignment that actually dated back to December 2nd of 2008, even though this formation showed up in 2009. Now, December 2nd, 2008 happened to be one of the greatest economic collapses of the Dow Jones Industrial Average that we've ever seen. Why would they refer back to that? It shows a comet. The 5 circles in the middle are a comet indicating some impending transformation on Earth. Well, this is a story that is not going to go away, and we're now in the final throes of how it's all manifesting. The United States government has been printing and distributing blanks as gold bullion in the Treasury for a long time now, and it's finally come out. When they were shorting gold and playing games with China and they lost the bet. This is the Bush administration, the old guard now, and China forced them to pay up with real gold. They actually sent China bars of tungsten, it's worth about $10 a bar, coated with gold on the outside, with a net worth of maybe $300 a bar, and they're supposed to be like at least $30,000, if not more. Okay, so you can imagine how pissed off the Chinese were. And so what we're seeing here, now this obviously is fake, but literally if you read what this says on this website, it was 1.3 to 1.5 million of these 400-ounce blanks that were manufactured during the Clinton administration. 640,000 of them were shipped to Fort Knox and were stored there to this day. So this is like, and read the bottom, it says, it was sold into the international market. The global market is literally stuffed full of 400-ounce fake gold bars, salted bars. So this really exemplifies how the whole financial system is just a big Ponzi scheme. There's nothing behind it. You just roll the printing press, you make money appear out of nowhere, you have to pretend that you have it in gold, so what do? You use tungsten and then you make gold out of your tungsten. That's all that's going on here. There's nothing else going on. This is a very crass manipulation of the American public. We are seeing movements which were beginning last year and are accelerating even now to audit the Fed. And as you may have seen on my website recently, there have been stunning new developments in which they're going after Goldman Sachs directly, and in which Obama is openly pushing now for legislation that would lead to the complete forbidding of any possibility of there ever being a bank bailout again, because the system itself did not change. All we did is throw gasoline on a fire. Now he's calling for real reform in the system, but so much propaganda has been cranked out by the old guard to make you think that Obama is the devil or whatever, or that he's a bad guy, that none of these conspiracy websites are talking about this story. The closest they've ever come, which I told you is what was going to happen, is that now Goldman Sachs is coming out and saying, oh, well, we're supporting this legislation. We want this to happen. Bullshit. Excuse my French. We're dealing with a real war here. You remember the eyes of the owl in that badge of the NRO that I showed you before? I want you to look at the crop circle on the left and tell me if that reminds you of anything we were just looking at. You see it? You see how those are the eyes of the owl, the exact same eyes that were on the badge? Well, what we're seeing again is a comet coming in from behind, and then the dove of peace in the front. The comet was already associated with the other prophetic crop circle I showed you before that gave us a date of December 2nd, 2008, which was a financial collapse. This is showing you that financial collapsing of the old infrastructure is necessary to bring about the changes we're all seeking. On the right, look at the 2 red stars on the right, and then look down from them, and you will notice that once again you see comets. And in this case, you have a combination of Egyptian and Mayan symbology. You have the winged disc in the middle. Notice the wings. Inside the disc is what is a stylized scarab beetle, which is the Egyptian symbol of death and resurrection. And then, of course, you see all the blades, all the wings, and then you see the Mayan squares below that. So this is basically talking about transformations that will lead to the Golden Age has been prophesied for so long. This was the first stage last year of a 3-part crop circle that came up, which suggests, and again, they can only give us symbolic information right now. You can't get it literally yet. But I want you to look at the very bottom and tell me if that face doesn't look like your typical gray extraterrestrial. This appears to be a prophecy of disclosure that is coming in, that the dove of peace is carrying behind him or herself, leading to this event. And then they came back and they redid the thing. There's the face. You can see the eyes, see the shape of the head. It's all there. This was not a fake crop circle. This is very much real. Oh, I guess, did I have the rest of it in here? Oh, yeah, this is the one that goes in 3 parts. I'm sorry. My apologies. That's another crop circle that actually shows you the face of the gray that's coming in for disclosure. It was the other one that actually shows you timelines. We'll get into that in a minute. Okay. Here is yet another example of a crop circle that is giving us a prediction. And I'm going to show you why crop circles are so important in just a minute. They've been showing up for 1,200 years. This is not new. Not new. This formation, I want you to look very carefully at the top right, the comet indication, the eclipse indication. Notice all the comets along either side of this shape on the top and bottom looking like little jagged teeth. Then you see an eclipse, which is associated symbolically with the fall of kings, colliding into a Masonic compass. Does everybody see the Masonic compass, or do I need to make it more obvious? Can you see it? Bueller. Yes, can you see? Okay. All right. So that's what's happening. You're seeing the comet colliding with the Masonic compass, which clearly indicates, to my eye, that we're dealing with some sort of downfall that's happening here. Lo and behold, we get yet another Masonic compass symbol, in this instance, which is actually more like an astrolabe, but it has all the basic characteristics of the Masonic symbol. The very top of this glyph has a small circle with a larger circle at the bottom, which, as I will show you redundantly, is the symbol of the pregnant mother goddess, the new earth being formed. You have a clear Masonic compass, and then you have a clear gray extraterrestrial head with the tapered jaw at the bottom. The shape of the head is in there at the base of the compass, with what appear to be 5 different timelines going into the top of the head. Those represent timelines, and you'll see why in a minute. As it was then expanded into this second phase, you now see the eyes of the gray very clearly. You see the compass, the Masonic compass going into the head. It's all coalescing. Now what you're seeing is the timelines have expanded, and you got Mayan glyphs, Mayan symbols. Notice that at the bottom of this glyph, each one of them has a series of what look to be comets, based on the fact that 5 or 4 or 3 circles in a row in crop circle speak has been associated with comets because they've actually given dates in the past that were directly correlated with when the comet was passing by, and it used 5 circles as the symbol of the comet. This is the final stage that it went through, in which we are seeing multiple timelines of history that are converging into the big moment of 2012, which obviously is now being correlated with disclosure, hence the extraterrestrial head. So let's take a look at those timelines in a way we can see them. I've just reversed the photograph now. We don't know what all this stuff means. There's lots and lots of cool coded symbolism in here which nobody has yet deciphered. But I encourage you to look at the bottom level timeline here, a little bit over from the middle. And what you see there is a step pyramid or a ziggurat, which indicates the Mayan timeline and possibly the timeline of the United States, which uses that symbol on the dollar. So this again seems to symbolize all these different timelines coalescing, coming together, colliding down into the 2012 point, which is all where every timeline fuses into the top of this extraterrestrial head, coalescing with the astrolabe, which of course is used to measure astronomy and conjunctions of planets in space. So this is a conjunction that we're talking about here. Some sort of conjunction in 2012. There's the whole series of timelines. So you can very clearly see now how each of them are coming together and they're all fusing into one singularity. And there's still plenty of work to be done in terms of decoding exactly what all the rest of this language symbolizes. But another thing I would point you to on the one that's Mayan at the bottom, which you can see better now, is if you look to the immediate right of that little step pyramid glyph, you'll see what actually looks like a stylized serpent. The head is on the far right. Then you have a jaggedy body with little dots on the top and bottom of where the body is basically, kinked. That, again, appears to be all part of the symbolism of Quetzalcoatl, the plumed serpent, who in Mayan tradition is, the godlike figure. Now, again, if you didn't already get the point that this is talking about the prophecies of the NRO being defeated, they gave you a redundant message where they show you the owl Moloch. They show you the owl. They show you the eyes that are on that badge that I was just talking about before. There they are. And look at what shows up right next to it in the same exact field. You see that in the background there? Let's go back and look at that for a minute. If you don't already know this, this is the symbol of the new physics. This is the realization of so many prophecies about anti-gravity, free energy. This contains all the answers you need. It's a three-dimensional geometry inside a sphere called a tetrahedron. That geometry is how energy flows into our reality from higher dimensions. That's how it all works. It all comes out of that. So check out what's going on here. Check out the message, because you have NRO Moloch next to the new physics, showing again how this whole thing is unraveling and coming apart. And if they didn't give you enough redundancy already, you get an image of the Pentagon, but there's a very curious tinge to the symbolism of the Pentagon. If you've ever thought about a swastika, does everybody see that? Notice the blades of the swastika are now interspersed with the Pentagon, which clearly looks like it's got some satanic elements to it. All right? This, again, is not accidental. What we're seeing is a clear and unambiguous prophecy showing us that there is a very negative element held over from Nazi Germany in this secret government that is now running the Pentagon. Not necessarily the Obama administration, but it's definitely still very much in the United States government. So is America the new Atlantis? Is this where all these things came from? The American prophecies and all the stuff with Obama posing in front of the Aztec calendar, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go back to Sir Francis Bacon, who was actually the illegitimate son of Queen Elizabeth. That's one of the things we now know. And when he found out that she was his mother, he'd already fallen in love with her, and he used that tragedy in his own life as inspiration to write Hamlet, readapting an old Icelandic legend of Amlodhi, which is Hamlet. So, Francis Bacon was not only the author of all the